The world, for a time, feels solid. The walls of the reality we were given have a certain weight, a thickness. They are decorated with the pictures our family hung there, inscribed with the proverbs of our culture, warmed by the familiar light of a truth everyone seems to agree upon. It feels less like a structure we live inside and more like the sky itself, just the way things are, permanent and unquestionable. And then, one day, there is a sound, a tiny, almost imperceptible ping. It's not an explosion, it's not the wall coming down, it's a hairline fracture, a flaw in the crystal. It might happen in the middle of a prayer that suddenly feels like recited lines to an empty room. It might happen when a national hero story doesn't quite square with a footnote of history we accidentally read. It might be the dawning realization that a rule everyone obeys serves no visible purpose other than to maintain the rule itself. A question forms, one that doesn't have a prepared answer in the catechism. A truth we've spoken 1,000 times rings just once with a hollow tone. This is the moment, the first conscience crack in the inherited bubble. It's a profoundly disorienting experience. Up until that ping, reality had a seamless quality. Now, there's a flaw. And if there's one crack, could there be others? Is the whole structure fragile? This thought is simultaneously terrifying and electrifying. There's a vertigo, the feeling of the mental ground, once so firm, revealing itself to be less substantial than we believed. A low-grade panic whispers, if this isn't entirely true, what else isn't? Who am I, if not the person this world told me that I was? This is often accompanied by a deep sense of alienation, of being an outsider in one's own life. We look at our family, our community, going through the motions with a faith that now seems opaque to us. The shared laughter feels distant. The shared assumptions feel like a play we have forgotten our lines to. It's a lonely feeling. This first sip from the cup of doubt. We haven't left the old world, but we can no longer fully live in it. We're standing in the living room of our life, staring at a crack in the plaster no one else seems to see. The initial responses are rarely graceful. They are the clumsy, fumbling acts of a consciousness testing its new, unsettling freedom. This is a stage of secret curiosities. The forbidden book read in a closet. The website browsed in incognito mode. The conversation with the other we were warned about. It's the personal rebellion, sometimes silent and internal, sometimes outwardly defiant and messy. A rule is broken, not for mischief, but as an experiment, to see if the sky really will fall. A cherished belief is deliberately held at arm's length and examined like a strange artifact. This isn't full-blown awakening, it's not wisdom. It's the seed of doubt breaking its shell underground. It's raw, vulnerable, and potent. The magic at this stage isn't having answers. It's in the simple, courageous act of acknowledging that the crack is there, of not papering over it, of not dismissing the ping as imagination. It is the decision, the choice, to lean in and look through the fissure rather than away from it. Looking back through history, This moment of the first crack is the universal human threshold, and the enlightened masters of old were deeply familiar with its architecture. They didn't just experience it themselves, they designed their teachings to strategically induce it in others, planting seeds in plain sight meant to germinate later when the mind was ready. The foundational text of Taoism, the Tao Te Ching, is essentially a manual for creating this crack. Its opening lines are a deliberate paradox. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. Immediately, it destabilizes the map. It says the most important thing cannot be captured in words, in doctrine, and the very walls of our bubble. It is a seed that plants the idea that reality is fundamentally beyond description, inviting a doubt in all descriptions. The entire text works through a metaphor and contradiction, not to confuse, but to short-circuit the logical, categorizing mind and create an opening for a different kind of knowing. In the Zen Buddhist tradition, the use of the koan is a formalized tool for engineering this first crack. A master gives a student a seemingly nonsensical question like, "What is the sound of one hand clapping?" Or "What was your original face before your parents were born?" The student's logical, programmed mind, trained to solve problems within the bubble, strikes against the koan and fails. This repeated friction, this mental ping, is designed to exhaust the conventional mind, to create a crisis in ordinary perception, forcing the awareness to jump the tracks of logic and glimpse the territory beyond the map that was given to us. The crack is the goal. Even in the heart of more doctrinal traditions, we see this. The book of Job, in the Hebrew Bible, is a monumental exploration of the first crack. Job is the ultimate righteous man, following the map of divine reward and punishment perfectly. His bubble is in the belief in a just, transactional universe. God allows Satan to take everything from him: wealth, health, children. Job's friends, perfect spokesman for the orthodox bubble, insist he must have sinned. But Job knows his own integrity. The excruciating friction between the map, goodness is rewarded, and his territory, unjust suffering, creates a massive howling crack in his reality. His entire journey is a passionate, doubt-filled confrontation with the divine, not from rebellion, but from the need to reconcile the crack. He doesn't get an answer to why. He gets an overwhelming vision of the universe's vast, mysterious nature, which ultimately reshapes his understanding. Socrates, the Athenian gadfly, made a career of being the ping. His method was to approach people who were certain about justice, piety, courage, and through innocent questioning, expose the contradictions in their definitions. He wasn't giving them new truth. He was creating cracks in their old, unexamined ones. He called himself a midwife, not of ideas, but of the realization of ignorance. The painful, fertile realization of "I know that I know nothing" is the sound of the bubble fracturing. This initial crack, then, is not a modern symptom of a faithless age. It is the ancient and necessary precondition for any genuine growth beyond the inherited self. It is the moment the organism becomes aware of the shell. It is frightening because it represents a death of sorts, a death of a certain kind of unquestioned safety. But it is also the only possible beginning of a life that is authentically one's own. The magic lies in not recoiling, in letting the alienation be, without rushing to fill it with the new ready-made dogma, in cherishing the question more than the answer. That first crack lets in a sliver of a different kind of light, a draft of a different kind of air, and once we've tasted it, even in fear, the seamless, silent world of the bubble can never feel like home again. We have, without fully understanding it, placed a foot on the spiral. The journey hasn't begun with a step, but with a fracture.